Get ready with me while I tell y'all how my boyfriend in college lied to me about having 2 kids and kept them from me for 3 years. I hate telling this story because I sound so dumb because I was. I was 18 years old. I went to this party with my friend in college. She was a year older than me. And I didn't drink, I didn't smoke or anything, but she was like, hey, let's go to this party. So we pull up to the party, and there's a ton of football players there. Red flag alert. Yes, he was a college football player. I should have prefaced with that, but yes, he was a college football player, and yes, he was the one that turned my phone into the iPhone curve, if y'all saw that video. So we're there at this party with a ton of football players, and he says something to me about how, like, I'm not drinking, and I was like, oh yeah, like, I don't drink, that's just not something that I do. And so he was like, oh my God, I don't drink either. So we like bonded off of that and had a conversation about that. The friend that I go to the party with ends up wanting to hang out with his roommate. So I'm basically stuck with this kid, and we're like forced to hang out with each other. So he's like, do you want to go back to my apartment? Da 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 da. Okay, yeah, cool, whatever. So we literally are just like sitting there talking and trying to make conversation because we don't know each other, and we're like forced to hang out because of our friends. Anyway, he's like, I actually think that you're very pretty. Ask for my phone number. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. So I end up leaving. Honestly, y'all, I thought I was never going to see this man again. He ends up texting me the very next morning and is like, hey, I'm going to camp soon. I would love to see you before I go to camp, because the party was before school started. It was like in August, and all the football players go to camp. So he was like, I would love to see you before camp starts. Like, let's go on a date or whatever. So we end up going on a date, and it was cool. It was cool. It was all right. And I didn't think anything of it, honestly, but my issue at the time was I was super young, and I would like to emphasize that. I was 18 years old, so I thought like a man being like obsessed with me was like love, and that's just not the case. I know that now, being older, but y'all, he immediately was like obsessed with me, and I loved that. So he goes off to camp, FaceTimes me every day, talks to me every single day on the phone. All is well. We're like getting to know each other. Cool. We kick it off. We're two peas in a pod. We're both Pisces. I should also state that. Horrible combination. And so we basically like bond over the fact that our birthdays are like a week apart. We're getting to know each other. I'm an athlete. He's an athlete. I played basketball. He played football. And okay, cool, great. So we end up dating. And we start dating, everything's cool, everything's great, and it honestly was like, it was good until it wasn't. It was like, he got me, and so then like his true colors started to show. Now, I felt like I was over at his apartment, pretty much sleeping there almost every single night. Granted, I did work multiple jobs. I was a student athlete. He was a student athlete. He traveled a lot for football. So it's like, yeah, you have your obvious things where you can't see each other, but I felt like we spent a lot of time together. Fast forward, years later, I find out that one of my best friends who was dating his best friend, they were roommates. They ended up actually getting married. She told me like years later after we broke up that he cheated on me all of the time. And then we ended up becoming really, really close after me and him broke up. And like, she told me all the tea. But anyway, so I feel like I'm staying over there every single night. We're getting closer. Now we've been like pretty much together for about a year. And I go over to his house one day, and I see that in his apartment, he has like a drawing from a little kid. I didn't think anything of the drawing because football players were always doing volunteer work, and they were always around little kids. So I didn't think anything of it, but there was multiple drawings that a little kid had drawn him in his apartment. And then I peeped maybe a couple weeks later that his screensaver was of a little girl, and she was about like 5 or 6 years old. He was 22 at the time, and she was probably 4 or 5. And I remember I had gone to his house for a Halloween party, so like we're knee deep into football season. And I remember asking him, I was like, hey, who is the little girl on your screensaver? Like, she is so cute. And he said, my niece. Now, keep that. That's an important part. Keep that in your mind. So I'm like, oh my God, she's so cute, da 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 da. And mind you, I hadn't met his family at this point because his family did not live in the same city we lived in. So if we wanted to go and see them, we had to drive like multiple hours to go see his family. So I think nothing of it. I'm like, oh my God, she's so cute. Okay, moving on. We're going to the party. We have a great time. And then months go by. Everything's cool. I don't think anything of it. The little girl's still his screensaver. And then I think we go back to training camp again. Not training camp, camp for football, Jesus. So another year goes by, and now he's at camp again. And so we did not really post each other on the internet like that. Social media today was not what it was back then. It just wasn't. Like, we didn't post each other like that and whatever. So he ends up FaceTiming me while he's at camp in college. The next year, and I screenshot like the picture of us FaceTiming, and I post it on like my Twitter, I think. And I said something about like, you know, I missed him and that I loved him because he was at camp and like I couldn't see him. So I get this girl likes it, and I don't know who she is. Like, she just liked the tweet, and in her bio she had an emoji of a baby emoji, and then the name of, I believe, was her child, but it had the same last name as him. So I call him and I'm like, hey, I didn't know, y'all was so dumb. I like call him and I'm like, hey, like, mentioned it in passing. I was like, this girl like liked my tweet, and I don't know like who she is, but do you know her? Because in her bio, she has like a name and it's your last name. He freaks out. He's like, oh my God, block her, like she's crazy. Girls aren't crazy, men make them crazy. So I was like, that's suspicious. So I was like, well, what do you mean she's crazy? So then I go immediately, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna call you later. Like, I make him think like I don't know anything that's going on, right? And I go and check her Twitter, I do some digging, and she has pictures of a baby, and the baby has his last name. So I call him, and I'm crying because I know the answer. And I'm like, hey, and he's like, what's up? I'm like, can you tell me who this girl is? And y'all, he was holding it down. He was not going to tell me for nothing. And so I'm like, please do not make me ask you this question. I remember I said that vividly. And he was like, what's the question? And I was like, is this your baby? Y'all, the baby was like 6 months old. And so I was like, is this your baby? And he was like, yeah. So I proceed to bawl my eyes out, as one would. And I just remember feeling like helpless because I'm like, okay, you have a 6-month-old baby. I don't know how to explain the feeling, you guys. It's like when you feel like you're going to be with someone forever and then your world changes because now you have to share that person with, you know, a baby mama and a child. It's just not the best feeling. And then I end up forgiving him like a dumb. And we end up staying together, and I was like, we can work through this because I was just so young and stupid. And then I remember posting him more on my page because at this point we had been dating for about 2.5 years, and like, you're my man, so I'm going to post you more. And the football team was doing really well. They had made it to the national championship. And I remember posting him and like saying good luck. And I was traveling to all the games. And so I was posting all the football stuff. And she had DM'd me, and she was like, the same girl that had messaged me on Twitter. She found me on Instagram, the baby mama, and she messaged me and she was like, it's just so crazy how he's willing to spend all of his time with you and no time with his daughters. Why did that word have an S on it? Why is daughters with an S? Immediately freaked out. So I message her and I'm like, or I've never spoken to her. So I'm like, what do you mean daughters? And she was like, see, you don't even know who you're dating. Like, you need to ask more questions. Like, you really think like y'all are so in love, but you don't know anything about the man that you're dating. And I'm like, well, can you please enlighten me? So she ends up giving me her phone number, and she's like, call me because I need to talk to you and like I need to tell you who you're dating. Okay, I have 10 seconds left, so go to part 2 for the next part.